Welcome to the Rested Garden Homestead. Today is the 20th. It's been 14 days since the last vlog. This is vlog 20, and I'm going to show you how all the plants are doing that I've been featuring in videos. But I want to talk about birds. I've added a lot of bird feeders, a bird bath that has a solar fountain on there, a couple of bird houses you'll see. You can see one straight back there. And that's really to attract insect-eating birds into the garden. And this place is, not only do you hear the bird sounds, but if you sit outside on our porch, there's about 30, 40 different birds that tend to be hanging out around here. And I think it's really helping get rid of those worms, those insects that eat my plant leaves. So I do recommend trying to bring birds into your garden. They really don't eat your crops if you feed them, give them water and stuff like that. So right along there, those are root pouches that I sell at my seed shop. They're 10 gallons. These are all Determinate tomatoes. I'm going to be doing a video on that whole section right there, but I'm growing 10 Determinate type tomatoes. They get to a set height, flower, fruit, and then they finish up. But it's a great way to get tomatoes quickly into the garden. And you can see that I've tucked them in along the hops, the blueberries, and I'm really utilizing space I would not normally use. Here is the cattle panel. And there's an error. Let's see if you can figure out the mistake I made. So the tomatoes are doing beautifully. I've shown you these. They were recovering from the frost. They're starting to trellis up the arch. And they look great. Now the mistake I made is that this is a 4-foot walking path, which is perfect for me until the tomatoes come in. So the idea is great. They're going to grow up here and they're going to do what they're supposed to do, but this whole section is going to be filled nice and densely with tomato plants. So this arch should really have been 6 feet wide to give me 2 feet of growth of the tomatoes, but you know, I'll figure it out, and I'm really excited that they're all doing well. I mean, beautiful. They came back with a vengeance. So if you're watching the vlogs, in 2 weeks, so much has changed. We've been getting the warm weather, the warm rains. In fact, there's a storm on the way now. Here is the corn that I shot a video on. There are 64 stalks in there. Not all of them came up, so let's call it 60. They're doing really well. You just want to give these a lot of nitrogen, a lot of water. They're going to do well. Cucumbers in there. 2 squash plants are taking off. One of my cucumbers, here comes the rain. Hopefully we get done. So again, I said plant your cucumbers in succession. So this is the first one that went in. We'll pass a couple more. You're going to see open space in my garden. Don't plant everything full of your summer crops. You're just going to get too much too fast. You're not going to be able to eat it all or give it away. Here's my sunken container garden. The red Russian kale is huge. Packed in between there are peppers. I'm going to have to really take the leaves, give a lot of this away so that the sunlight can get into the pepper plants. The asparagus is all ferned out. It's got to stay like that for the whole year, get energy into the root system. Next year I'll have really tons of asparagus to harvest. The third year is when you get the most. The second or third year is when you can really start harvesting the asparagus spears. Beans growing along here. Again, don't overdo it. Like, I could pack beans in everywhere, but it's going to be too much. I'm really slowing myself down so that I can, again, plant every couple of weeks. As these plants that you see now get diseased and die off, I got new ones coming in, and I'm just going to keep getting a harvest over the whole year. More cucumbers coming in. Just did a video on spraying them and pruning them, taking care of the leaves. This was the first zucchini plant I put in. Lots of zucchini. I've been eating out of there. This is going to be an arch of cucumbers, and this is going to work because cucumbers aren't going to grow out as far as the tomatoes. So that'll be a success. All the sunflowers that you see were all seeded by nature, by the birds, however they got around. They came from the plants I grew last year, fell to the ground, birds moved them around. Determinate variety tomatoes, going to be weaved up the cage. I got to take care of them still. I did a lot of weeding over the last couple of days. That's cantaloupe, growing that up in there. Apple tree, and that's kind of interesting because it's 4 different apple varieties spliced onto one trunk, and you can see the one on the right is still getting, I guess that's scab or rust. I always forget what that disease is. So different varieties of plants, perfect example, are affected differently by diseases, and that's all happening on a single tree trunk with 4 different apples grafted onto it. That's the cabbage that I did a video on. You know, do tomatoes and cabbage grow well together? No, they don't. These have been fed over and over again. And people have been saying, well, don't plant them by next to something that feeds so heavily. I've packed stuff into my garden all the time, and plants compete with each other. Something else is going on with the cabbage roots that tomatoes just don't like. More beans in there. Love these mini cabbages. I'm going to grow these every year. That's just about my size. Sorry, I just forgot the name. But just look up, you know, mini cabbages. They're beautiful. They're really dense. They're going to be perfect for a meal or two. Here's my row of where I did the tomato hedge last year. All the kale's growing in really well. I've been eating that for weeks now. Here are larger cabbages, and they're just too big. I love growing it. I like watching it grow. These are all going to get picked tonight. The heat's getting to them a little bit, but they're all ready to go. Continue down. I have a little experiment going in here. Again, all of these sunflowers have just fallen and seeded themselves. So I'm growing okra in there, which is right there. That'll be a nice tall plant just like the sunflowers, and then there's beans growing in there. So I'm going to let the beans trellis up the okra. My wildflowers got out of control, so what I have to do with those is they got taller than I thought they would be. I mean, look how tall those daisies are. So maybe in the beginning of June, before they bud, but they have a lot of growth on there, I'm going to cut them down maybe 6 inches off the ground. They'll continue to grow, the buds will come out, but they're going to be short and stocky, and they're not going to fall over and make a mess like that. Here's my container garden, a bunch of stuff I was shooting videos on. So we've had storms for the last couple of days, more storms coming, so I'm not putting down any more sprays yet. But that's my goal, is to stick with the prevention plan. That was the discussion in the last vlog, and things have been going really well. Oh, here comes the rain. Let's just spin around here. I think we'll be able to get to the end of the video. Potatoes are doing really well. More zucchini in there. This is a typical flat or a raised bed that if you're just growing something small, we got carrots to the right, peas in the back, still harvesting those, beets. I do make videos for All America Selections. I'll put a link in the description. If you want to follow them on YouTube, we don't put any ads on there. We just give lots of gardening advice videos like you see here, but also just short 1-minute videos on different plants you can grow in your garden. Different beans trellising up PVC. I mean, and the garden's just really taking off. More cucumbers. These are collards that are going to get removed. Brussels sprouts. And the prevention spraying is really working. I mean, I see some holes and I see some problems, but nothing out of control. I mean, and that's the whole goal with preventive spraying, is that you want to really start spraying 2 weeks before your problems arrive, if it's disease or insects, and then you really manage down the issues. You can't ever really stop anything 100%, but you can knock it back. Again, your row of asparagus, and you can just see how everything is just filling out the entire space. I'm really happy with how things are growing this year. More beets, and in there, here's the space I was talking about. I could throw in a couple more squash or zucchini, but I'm going to wait. There's no need for a family of 4 to have 4 squash plants, zucchini plants. You're just going to get too much. Let's walk our way back out, covering the camera. And I just want to show you one last area. The blackberries and the blueberries are all coming into berry size. The blackberries will start turning soon. Let's just take a quick look over here. I've planted in some melons. Ginger's coming up under that white dish rack over there. That's my flower area to attract beneficial insects. And then let's end with the blueberries. They're all about ready to harvest. The birds are leaving them alone. I'm going to see what they do. I might have to cage them up. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a growth update on how things have been going, show you some of the projects. Oh, we're going to walk over to one more area, sorry. So this is the front of the east side, and this was the one dig garden. It's growing really, really well. Some of the onions are coming back in there. This is the no dig garden I did, and it's pretty good. I keep forgetting to water it. You know, if you're setting it up the first time, you need a lot of water. Dealing with a little bit of me not watering them enough, but the plants look pretty good. But no dig is a really great way to go if you want to cover a lot of space quickly. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.